Panic mode in Cleveland is officially cancelled. Yesterday we told you that Shedeur Sanders and Dion were ready to demand a trade if the Browns didn't get this right. Well, Andrew Berry heard them, and he didn't waste a single second. Sources close to the front office have confirmed that Berry has identified the perfect replacement for Kevin Stefanski. It's not an offensive guru. It's not a college experiment. It is a culture changer. Reports indicate the Browns are finalizing a pitch to Mike Vrabel, the one man who Shedeur Sanders respects because he is a former player who doesn't play games. Replace Kevin Stefanski, and this move might be the only thing that saves Shedeur Sanders from demanding a trade. Here is why this hire saves the franchise from a total collapse.
They are going to be searching not only for a general manager, not only for a head coach, but now for a president of football who will oversee head coach and GM in a new setup there in Atlanta. So that's what's happening. We are expecting more, but up to this minute, that is it. Oh, and then lastly, I would say Andrew Berry, the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, he is staying. So Kevin Stefanski out. Andrew Berry is staying in Cleveland, continuing on in his role as GM.
The NFL just witnessed a corporate execution so brutal and unfiltered that it might change how teams fire coaches forever. We aren't talking about the usual mutually parted ways nonsense or the tired old "we thank him for his contributions" lie. This was General Manager Andrew Berry standing at a podium and methodically tearing down the legacy of a two-time Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski. He didn't just let him go. He delivered a public indictment, ripping apart his predecessor's reputation and making it violently clear that the marriage had to end. Berry showed the world the receipts, and let me tell you, the evidence is damning. Berry's single cold statement was a surgical strike against every excuse Stefanski had left. He looked straight into the camera and said the decision was based on the simple fact that the organization did not see enough progress in areas that were controllable, independent of certain game outcomes. Think about that for a second. This isn't about bad luck. This isn't about injuries. This isn't even about losing close games. This is about Berry saying that Stefanski failed at the things a head coach is paid to control: clock management, game plan execution, and player development. He took every single excuse the media ever gave Stefanski and threw it directly into the trash, leaving the coach completely exposed. But the worst part of the indictment was yet to come. The single most shocking number in this entire downfall is this: Kevin Stefanski, the so-called offensive genius and play-calling maestro who was hired because of his schemes, stopped calling plays twice during his tenure in Cleveland. Read that again. The job he was hired for, his specialty, was so far beyond his capabilities that he was forced to hand over the headset not once, but 2 times. This isn't a small adjustment. It's an admission of spectacular, repeated failure. Imagine hiring a world-class chef because of his signature dish, only for him to suddenly announce he's letting the busboy handle the kitchen while he runs the seating chart. Stefanski was allowed to keep his job even after admitting he couldn't handle the core duties of his supposed expertise. And somehow, it manages to get even worse. Stefanski didn't just quit the play calling. His entire offensive philosophy was exposed as predictable and stale. He fired 2 offensive coordinators, Alex Van Pelt and Ken Dorsey. Yet the offense never reached the elite, explosive level that was promised to Cleveland fans. He had prime players like Nick Chubb and Jarvis Landry, but the unit still sputtered. The case against his scheme is so strong, it's being made by the people who know it best. Former NFL quarterbacks, veterans like Drew Bledsoe, Chase Daniel, and others publicly declared the offense was uncreative, easy to guess, and simply too old to succeed in the modern league. It was the same worn-out play, ran over and over, hoping the opponent wouldn't notice. The film room proved everything Andrew Berry was saying. The failure didn't stop with the plays. G. Bush, one of the most vocal critics, revealed that Stefanski's issues ran deep through 17 different areas. We're talking about a multi-level collapse that transcends any single play call. This isn't a coach who just struggled with one thing. This is a failure of system and leadership across the board. Clock management blunders, inexplicable timeout usage, communication breakdowns, and a lack of true player development. These are the bedrock of the controllable areas Andrew Berry was talking about. Stefanski was failing at the basic job functions of an NFL head coach, and the team couldn't overcome it. But the most dangerous indictment came from the people who mattered most, the players. This is the shocking evidence Berry used to justify his brutality. The locker room was fractured. When star defensive end and face of the franchise Myles Garrett was asked directly about his coach, he couldn't even give a full endorsement, chillingly stating only, "I want to win." That kind of cold shoulder speaks volumes. Odell Beckham Jr. wanted to leave Cleveland, partly because of his frustration with Stefanski's flawed offensive system. Furthermore, not a single quarterback who played under Stefanski, not rookie Shedeur Sanders, not journeyman Joe Flacco, not Baker Mayfield, ever credited the offensive system with making them better. That silence is a screaming confession of a system that actively failed its players. With his credibility destroyed, the focus shifts to the man holding the knife, Andrew Berry. Andrew Berry didn't just fire a coach. He was fighting to save his own career. He was one massive failure away from being tossed out with Stefanski. Berry's life raft, the one thing that bought him enough goodwill to survive, was his 2024 draft class. Young talents like Shedeur Sanders, Quinshon Judkins, and Carson Schwezinger are the single reason Berry is still standing. This firing was a calculated gamble, a ruthless move to sacrifice the most exposed member of the organization and demonstrate to ownership that he had a plan and a vision that had been sabotaged by his former partner. He got his extension. He got his power. Now, the clock on his own career begins to tick. Berry has earned the right to run the search, but the pressure is immense. The entire future of the franchise rests on his next move. The next coach must fix the internal culture, maximize the young talent he drafted, and most importantly, develop Shedeur Sanders into the franchise QB Cleveland has been chasing for decades. If Berry hires another coach who fails to get the job done, all the goodwill bought by his draft class will vanish instantly, and the organization will likely face a complete top-down overhaul. He has one shot to prove this ruthless honesty was the first step toward salvation, not just another chapter in the Browns' book of eternal misery. The world is watching to see if Berry is a savior or just the next sacrifice. Hey, Andrew Berry's brutal, unapologetic dismantling of Kevin Stefanski's career was a shockwave the NFL hasn't seen before. He took no prisoners and offered no sugarcoating. He judged Stefanski not on circumstances, but on controllable failure. And the record shows the verdict was deserved. The coach had the resources, the time, and the talent, but he simply didn't finish the job. Now, Cleveland has a clean slate, money to spend, and a young core. The question remains, was this harsh honesty the catalyst the Browns needed to finally break their curse? Or is the coaching carousel in Cleveland simply destined to spin forever? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Berry's brutal honesty was justified? And who is the one coach who can possibly fix this broken franchise? If you want more in-depth looks at the shocking truths behind the NFL's biggest scandals, hit the like button and subscribe.